Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivimey.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of heroic television or film. And this week on the podcast, we were talking about a new TV show. We were talking about we're going to be talking about the first 2 episodes of Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights, the CW TV show, not the video game. We must be clear.
Yes, I actually believe this is this CW? Yes, it is CW.
This is very much CW.
Sorry.
All the Supernatural boys got their own CW show after Supernatural was over. I guess it was law.
Legally, they have to do that.
Legally, every boy who did 15 years of Supernatural must get a new CW show after the show ends.
I mean, that's just part of their contract, I think, when they sign on at birth in blood or whatever it is that they do at the CW.
Whatever kind of Supernatural-esque contract of blood was signed.
Yes, if you're a young person of a certain attractiveness, you sign the contract with the CW. You know, if you're a handsome lad, or you're just a good-looking person, you're a cutie going about your business, and you're like, I'd like to act, and then the CW snatches you up and they throw you into the back of the CW van that they have that's filled with the teen wolves and the whatnots.
And then they hold on to you and they make you do a show. And then in 10 to 15 years, you have to do another one.
Yeah.
Usually they make you wait.
You're never released to go anywhere else.
No, like they're going to bring you back to be like, oh, I'm on Smallville and now I'm on Supergirl. Or like, now you're going to do those kind of things.
Yeah.
The Supernatural boys are the only ones who immediately got dropped back in.
Right.
There's usually like a time lapse.
I mean, Jensen managed to scurry away long enough to do The Boys. So he got that.
He got that.
And then the CW people were like, send the van.
The Winchester's van grabbed him.
You're coming back to give us a spinoff. Come on, Jensen.
We need to know what Dean's doing in heaven.
Yeah, so they let him scurry away for a brief moment. Yeah, but not too long.
Not too long. Anyway, Misha Collins from Supernatural stars in Gotham Knights on the CW.
Yeah, Gotham Knights, we're talking about the first 2 episodes today on the podcast. It's a new series. 2 episodes are out right now. We wanted to get an early review in for people, to get a little taste of our opinion on the series. And since this is a new TV show, anytime we talk about a new property, we always like to give you a spoiler-free review. So we're going to give you a quick spoiler-free review. Then, once you hear the theme song, that is going to be when we enter the spoiler-filled section. So, to start with a quick spoiler-free review, we'll start with the usual question. Diana, did you like it?
Oh, no, I did not. This is a bad show from top to bottom. This might be one of the only shows where I'm like, this is a bad idea. It's just not a good idea. Just 16s or 17s, a large amount of teens, all introduced in episode 1 who have no particularly good skills or chemistry or friendship or drive. And it's just, none of it works. The action's not good. The friendships aren't there. It's not funny. It's not entertaining. It's confusing of why any of it's happening. I am so beyond not enjoying this. Nice to see Misha Collins again for me as a Supernatural gal. And that is about it for the things I like in Gotham Knights. It is a baffling show that got pushed back like 4 or 5 times. I think it was supposed to come out last year. And they kept pushing it back because we kept changing the schedule date where we were going to review this. And we kept being like, it got moved again. So just a weird show that I'm baffled about and do not enjoy, despite how much I love all things Batman, Robin, and Gotham. So that's kind of bad. Andrew, do you like Gotham Knights?
No.
Okay, yeah, cool.
They pushed it back and it did nothing. It is a show that is somehow worse than the sum of its parts. Like, it is almost as if everyone got together and went out of their way to actively make things as bad as possible. It feels like it's made by AI and an 80-year-old executive.
Wow, yes. I actually know exactly what you mean immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. An 80-year-old executive fed a bunch of scripts into an AI machine and then made this, and then also had just everything was made by AI, top to bottom. I feel like there are some things I will be nice about that I think like the show could actually deserve, but it also partially feels like me. I'm reminded of like that scene from 30 Rock when Tina Fey is talking about going to see Jenna's terrible plays and having to come up with a compliment, but they're always so terrible. So afterwards, it's like Tina Fey being like, the lighting was really interesting. And I feel like that's where I'm at with Gotham Knights, where like and the lighting is really interesting. They've done a good job of the lighting.
I can see pretty much everything happening. This is so funny you said that. Literally, the very first note in my notebook is, oh, I like Harvey's jacket.
Yeah,
a jacket.
A jacket. There is a nice jacket in there.
There is a nice jacket that really fits Harvey Dent very, very well. But
yeah, but other than that, it's a bad show.
Yeah, it's a bad show.
It really is a bad show, top to bottom.
It's shockingly bad, especially because like the CW knows how to do these. This isn't the CW's first superhero show. It might be their last one.
Yeah.
It might be the final superhero show.
Yeah.
But like they have done so many of these. Although, you know what? I haven't checked. I don't know if Berlanti works on this one.
He's an EP of it, but I think like it might be a very consulting, distant. We have you mainly for like budgetary and like it doesn't feel like a hands-on Berlanti.
Yeah, for this network that does the entire Arrowverse, did Smallville back in the day. It's like, what are you doing?
But it does also feel like watching a entertainment contract. Like it feels like I am watching the equivalent of reading a legal agreement between DC and 9 different proprietary properties that own and license individual characters.
Which ones can we have? You can have these ones you made up.
Yes.
You can have the Robin from the future that doesn't actually exist in continuities most of the time, Carrie Kelly.
Yeah.
You can have the Cullens or the Rose siblings who are from like just Batman Eternal, very short run. They're not huge characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very nitpicky.
It's a combination of the leftovers, the ones we can legally mention but not show, and then the ones we can't acknowledge whatsoever. And it's like, sure, I think that there are a lot of great stories you could do about new characters that exist within Gotham. I think there's a lot of great stories that you could do about the Bat family and what are traditionally the Gotham Knights comics and not at all what this show is. There's a lot of great stories that can be done, and you can do it with original characters, but I don't think you can do it while tap dancing over legal contracts, which is what this show feels like. I like every minute of it is just tap dancing over a licensing agreement, and it's really painful. It's hard to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is. I mean, even from the get-go, the fact that the main character is a new character named Turner Hayes, who is Batman's son, and Batman has canonically 4 kids, and you couldn't get the rights to any of them.
Right.
You couldn't get a Dick, you couldn't get a Jason, you couldn't get a Tim, you couldn't get a Damian. You had to make a new guy. Like, there's no way the show is all in any way or has any kind of backing.
Yeah. It's just there's just too many licensing agreements going on. Yeah,
for sure.
Way too much in that regard. So we don't like it. Can it be spoiled?
Not really. Whatever.
I also agree with whatever. Whatever. We've watched 2 episodes. They're doing a comic book thing, but loosely and poorly. Whatever.
Pretty much anything that could be spoiled is in the pilot. So if you're gonna watch the pilot, it'll be there.
Yeah.
It'll
be there. Yeah. Well, I think that's our spoiler-free review. This is obviously going to be a funny episode where we mostly just kind of dunk on things. But we wish everyone who worked on this project well, other than the team of lawyers and executives who I feel like were the most hands-on people in making it. But all of the creatives, you probably deserve better. And that's our feeling on the spoiler-free review. I think that sums it up.
I think that sums it up. I think they're spoiler-free.
All right, well, let's now get into the spoiler-filled section. Let's talk a bit more about Gotham Knights. All right, we really watched this for the podcast.
We did. I think we did a great service of self-care and only scheduling 2 episodes to review for this show.
We did look after ourselves on this one.
I think I'm proud of us for taking care of us.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we watch a whole show.
Yeah, but we deserve not to sometimes. Because, this is just...
Sometimes you can just tell.
You can just tell, and the warnings were there. The warnings were there early on with this one. You hope to be proven wrong. You hope for a great thing, or maybe even like a campy fun thing to be like, oh, I see why people maybe didn't like this, but it's actually going for something. But this isn't going for anything.
This isn't going for anything. This feels like, I agree with what you said. It feels like an AI wrote it. It's a weird combination of, it feels like they like are tiptoeing around the characters they don't own, but also only made this because there are some characters they do own and didn't want to lose licensing or something. But I'm like, there's no one in this worth owning.
Yeah.
None of these characters are worth owning. So like, why is any of this happening?
I really don't understand it. There was a review on or an article about the show on Polygon, and the headline of the article was, "Why can't a Batman show just be normal?" And I think that that's just a great description of the series of micro fractures that have happened within this universe. To be like, we have a Robin and we have a Batman son, but two of them are licensed to Titans, so that's still going on, and that's a thing. We have Batman's butler, who isn't Alfred because that's been licensed to Pennyworth, the origin of Batman's butler. It's like we have Harvey Dent as the DA, who's also serving as like the number one cop on every crime scene, because clearly this was written for Jim Gordon, but Gordon and Bullock were licensed out to the Gotham show, and I think Fox still owns it. So it's just a series of these placeholders, and none of it works. And it's like, we don't have Batman, we don't have the Bat family, we don't have the Robins, we don't have the kids, we don't have the cops. We don't have anything.
It's just everything that's left. Because there are so many shows about Batman that don't have Batman. Like, you just listed a bunch of them. Titans, Gotham, Batwoman.
Yeah.
Is looking for Bruce Wayne. The whole show is the whole premise of Batwoman, the show. So many Batman shows are just like, we don't have Batman. And it's like, okay. And then all those shows get all the little characters. And it's like, this is real bottom of the barrel characters that like I've barely heard of as and some of them are new, so you haven't heard of them.
Sure.
And then even as a comic book reader, I'm like, I kind of remember Harper and Cullen Rowe, and I know Stephanie Brown pretty well, only because she's really good friends with my favorite Robin, Tim Drake. But other than that, it's like, what?
What are we doing here? It's a weirdest combination, a very weird combination of people. And then one background gag that I'm like, you had the rights to this, but you didn't need to use it. Was at one point on the TV, they keep using these news clips of the Gotham News Network, which is a classic storytelling device in superhero media and a lot of media, of like, here's a news clip telling you the exposition of what's going on in the world. It's done very poorly and blandly here. But then they have one clip where it's like, the streets are being ravaged by the new mutant gang. Yeah. And then they show mutants. And it's not brought up as the number one problem in Gotham now.
I know we only watched 2 episodes, but literally they were just like, by the way, there's mutants. Don't worry about that. I'm like, I'm kind of worried about them. What? I'm intrigued at least. Why didn't we expand upon this yet?
And I get that these are the legal scraps that you're left with, that someone else owns the story to the Dark Knight, Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns.
I mean, it actually probably, they do have the whole rights probably because Carrie Kelly's in those.
Oh, okay, so maybe they have the rights to everything from that except Batman.
Everybody except Batman.
But at no point was I reading Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns and being like, man, a lot of teens are having normal school days today. I'm like, no, the mutant gang runs the city. You can't combine those things. That doesn't work as a flow in any way.
Or the people having regular days are the rich people like Turner and Stephanie.
Sure.
And then, like, the poor kids, like the ones who are framed for Bruce's murder, would be like, we live with the mutants.
Yeah.
We're just trying to survive.
Y'all in gated communities are insulated from...
But that's not what the show's about either.
There are interesting places you could go with that, certainly.
Yeah, so there are interesting places to go, but none of them go there. And also, just in terms of just, like, structure-wise, I can never get on board with introducing 7 to 8 characters in a 42-minute show. What a bad idea.
Yeah.
What a bad... characters we need introduced to be introduced to, because they're not just established, like comic book characters that you can fill in the blanks for, except for Harvey Dent. Like, I don't know any of these people. Like, when I think about, like, Titans, which is a show with a bigger budget and they own more characters, even Titans episode 1 only introduces 3 characters.
Yeah.
You meet Dick, Raven, and Starfire. And like, we're going to introduce everyone else slowly. We're not fools.
Yeah, and the next episode will be 2 other ones. The 3rd episode will be those 2 uniting with the 3 from the first, and that's a rhythm that works.
And we're going to build up the team slowly. But yeah, this show just going immediately into, here's 7 teens, and we're going to have to team them up by the end of the episode. Nah, that's not going to work.
Way too many. Way too many. To the point where, like, when they introduced Stephanie Brown, and then they introduced 9 other teens, and they circled back to Stephanie Brown. And I was like, who's this new character we're meeting? Because she was in a new costume, didn't look the same. And also, we'd been shotgunning teens so quickly, I forgot that this was a person we met. So we're just burning through teens here.
I'm just picturing shot glasses with teens' names on them. Teens. Do you like this teen? What about this teen? We got more teens. Teens.
And in terms of stiff writing as well,
oof, ba-boo.
This is where the AI thing comes in. Where like I feel bad because I can't imagine that this is what anyone who wrote on this show wanted their writing to be, because it does.
Unless it was the AI.
Unless it was AI, because it does feel like it was written by someone who had never watched a television show before. Not even someone who's like a new writer. Someone who had never seen or heard of the concept of television before. Because you have to know, one thing that we will criticize sometimes on this podcast, it will be a show or a movie feels like it's on its first draft. To be like, there was raw potential, but you ran out of time, you ran out of budget for whatever studio, executive, distribution reasons. It was rushed, and you didn't have time to refine it and make it nice. This feels below what a first draft of a script should be. To be like, you can't have characters introduce themselves and their own characteristics. It makes it seem like somewhere in between a dating video and an AA meeting. When someone walks in and they're like, hi, I'm Harper Rowe. I'm bi. I'm 17. I grew up on the streets. Also, I have a brother. We survived together. I am a criminal. Here is a list of my previous... You can't have characters introduce themselves and give their own bio. That's like basic script writing. You need to find ways to introduce characteristics and pieces of their background and information through other people, not through bland, dry introductions.
Yeah, ideally you want to introduce it through actions, not words. But if you have to introduce it through words, it has to be other people. Yeah, like you're saying this is below first draft. It feels like they are reading the show Bible. It feels like in a show Bible,
this is the wiki.
In a show Bible, you'll have the character outlines of like, this person is this. And each character was then told to read the show Bible when they get arrested at the police station. Like, all right, say your entire biography right now. Which is so weird because arresting someone is such a setup for the police to say your bio for you.
Yeah, it's literally the exact setup. It is just a
or the
perfect
news,
setup.
Like the news or the police can be like, all right, this is Joker's daughter. She's been arrested 17 times. She was born in Arkham. That's crazy. Instead, Duella is like, I was born in Arkham and that's crazy. And it made me crazy.
And my dad's the Joker and that's crazy. And my mom's Harley Quinn and that's also crazy. Why are you saying this to no one?
And on top of that, these are the clumsiest character introductions of all time. But also there is not an AI thing, I think a very insecure executive thing of we also have to say all of these things 3 times.
Yeah.
In the first episode, each one of these characters had their backstory says at least 3 times. They tell the cops, they tell, his name's not Bruce, they tell Turner.
Yeah.
They tell Turner who they are. They just kind of tell each other.
Yes.
Like when the 3 of them are like breaking into Bruce's thing, it's like, hey, leave my brother alone. Like, that's my sister. I know you're from Arkham, but...
Don't underestimate me because I'm Joker's daughter.
They just keep saying their backstories over and over over again.
As if it's dialogue?
As if it's who speaks like that?
No, robots.
Robots.
Entirely robots speak like that.
Robots who have had a show Bible inputted into them and
Yeah.
said, this is the characteristics this person has. And it's like, well, which one's funny? Which one's sarcastic? Which one is like a good fighter? Which one is the toughest?
Well, this one's Joker's daughter. And then her line of dialogue will be, I'm Joker's daughter. And then someone else will go, wow, that's Joker's daughter. And that's the scene. That's a scene of this show.
They had a slight amount of restraint and that they didn't tell Stephanie's backstory until episode 2.
The tiniest amount.
The tiniest amount. That Stephanie joins the crew in episode 2. She was introduced in 1, but in 2 they're like, is this Quizmaster's daughter? Oh shit, she's gonna know quiz stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's a Quizmaster? We haven't even seen that show on TV.
Yes.
They haven't even shown a clip of whatever show he hosts on TV.
And the one that also really trips me up. So all of the villains introducing themselves in the interrogation room, clumsy, terrible writing. It is like an America's Funniest Home Videos clip of like T-ball of like a child walking up to a ball on a stick and you just have to hit it and they miss it, swing around and hit their dad in the dick and balls. Like it is the most.
That would be more entertaining.
That would be more, but it is the most. It is set up for an easy, unimpressive lob and it whiffs it so hard. And then to continue the theme of everyone having to introduce themselves clumsily, the show starts with a voiceover from Turner.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, this is going to be a show that uses voiceover as a narrative device. But instead, the show just starts with Turner in voiceover being like, hi, I'm Turner. I was adopted by Bruce Wayne. I was an orphan. I lived on the street. I used to go to public school, but now I am in private school. I take a fencing class. Here is the show that it is the show that you are about to watch. And we never use VO again. But again, it was because they had no idea how, there's no even attempt to put that exposition into the events of the show. So because Turner doesn't have a scene where he gets to awkwardly introduce himself, they introduce an entirely new narrative format of voiceover to have him awkwardly introduce himself.
Just for a second.
Just for a second.
Just a real quick one.
And then never use that device again.
No, and I'm not often a big fan of VO, but I wouldn't mind it in a show this packed for him to be like, that's my butler Cressida. She has this stuff about her. Like, we don't learn anything about this butler who just appears. It's not Alfred. It's just some lady.
Yeah. And she literally has a line of like, I'm your butler. Your father had Alfred, and you are the one who has me. Okay. A terrible line of dialogue that I guess kind of introduces you.
And I'm like, does Turner trust you? Does Turner not trust you? What's your relationship? Like there's so little to like here. I think I'll throw out a couple positives.
Sure.
I think Turner and Stephanie's relationship is actually pretty nice. Mm-hmm. I think that works. They trust each other. They're cute together. Acting wise, I think Duella and Harvey and Steph are pretty good.
Okay.
I think actually Duella's pretty good. I think she's doing a fun job.
Duella?
Joker's daughter.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I was like, wait, who are we talking about?
Who's this new character I've introduced?
Yeah, you just can't start rapid firing 9 of these teens at me and expect me to keep up.
I'm so sorry. That's fair. I think Joker's daughter and Stephanie Brown are pretty good.
Okay.
And I can't tell if Misha's good or if I've just loved him since Supernatural.
I think Misha's doing a fine job.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to hear.
I think several of them are doing a fine job. I can agree with you on that. I like Stephanie. Joker's daughter, I'm kind of like iffy on.
She's at least making a scene interesting.
She's
every other scene is so flat without her.
She is trying. I can definitely tell that like it's an impossible role she was given.
Joker's daughter in a no budget, terrible writing.
Absolutely. With completely stiff, even with great writing, the role of anything related to Joker is so like it's so iconic with these big bombastic performances, and even Harley Quinn as well. To be like the only real way to do either of these characters, and I know that this isn't either of those characters, but the only real way to do either of those characters anymore. Say there's a new Batman property that's just starting up. You're cast as Joker or you're cast as Harley Quinn. You're really left with the option of doing an impersonation of one of the people who've done it, or doing a version that everybody hates. Those are the only two options that you have. And now this is the child of two iconic characters that have big, bombastic personalities. And there are moments where I can feel her making the acting decision of doing a Joker impression or doing a Harley impression and then stopping and just kind of delivering lines flat. And it really is like you need to make a wild third choice, and it still wouldn't please everyone. But you were put in an impossible scenario as a young actor to be like you need to have the confidence of a god, of a seasoned veteran, to be like, I know that I'm the child of two incredibly iconic characters, and I need to make a wild third choice, which is just not the confidence that a young actor as a new lead on a show like this would have in any scenario.
No, you need to find like a diamond in the rough who's going to do something wildly different. You got to find the kid who plays 5 on Umbrella Academy. Like,
yes. Yeah.
Like just an impossibly confident, talented young person that just does not exist in the world. I will just say she's not Harley Quinn's daughter. Joker leaves her mom for Harley Quinn.
Oh, sorry.
She's only Joker's daughter. Okay, it doesn't really matter. She might as well be.
Gotcha.
It's going to be the same thing.
Thank you for the clarification, though. I appreciate that.
But it's a great point that like these are hard roles to play for adults who have Oscar nominations. Like Jared Leto couldn't play the Joker.
And Jared Leto does suck, but he also couldn't play the Joker.
But he also like can act sometimes. He's got an Oscar nomination at least, I think.
It is weird. It's a whole thing with Leto. But I'm with you. Yes.
They're impossible roles to play in this day and age. So for her to be any kind of good and kind of likable, I think is impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. The guy who plays Turner, there are a few moments where I can feel him repressing his British accent.
Oh, I didn't even know if he was, but I can definitely imagine he is. Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, you're repressing it a little bit, which is tough. I think for usually British actors do a better job of American accents than American actors do of British accents. So British actors do typically do a good job, but usually British actors, it's like their American accent involves dropping the tongue a little bit further back in the throat, getting a bit more guttural, and it's a little bit more cowboy, it's a little bit more deeper. But to do an American accent and still try to play it youthfully with a higher pitch, the British tongue placement doesn't want to be. It's tough. It is tough to do American teen, I think, for a British actor, which is where he's struggling a little bit with the placement sometimes.
I mean, I would also say he has to do teen, but he has to do like upper class rich American, which is pretty close to British sometimes. It's I'm a rich American kid. Yeah. So like some British can kind of slip in. You're like, yeah, that's because you're rich. It's because you're rich.
It's because you're rich, huh?
That you sound a little British.
Yeah.
Even though you're American.
Yeah.
So forgivable.
Yeah, could have done. Yeah, but he's new rich. He's also new rich.
They have not said when his parents died and how old he was when he got adopted. I'm like, were you adopted at like age 2 or were you adopted like 2 years ago?
Fair.
These are things I need to know. I don't know how newly rich you are.
Gotcha.
If you've gotten this good at fencing that you're like world class, I assume you've been rich for at least 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't know the fencing arc of learning fencing, but I don't think he knew it when he was pre-Bruce Wayne.
You got me there.
But they haven't established.
They haven't established that. But yeah, it's just hard to gauge these performances because they're having to read the stiffest lines possible, and I think also they're being directed miserably. Because one thing that's really bothering me about this show that I think is one of its strengths and also one of its greatest failures is it's trying very hard to be cinematic. It's trying very hard to be filmic. It is like we are doing a film aspect ratio. It's not a 16:9 television aspect ratio. This is letterboxed. It is a movie. This is the big screen. And these kids are giving very muted, small performances, which are big screen performances. But this is television. And it's lit and filmed like a movie, and I think the lighting is good, and the camera work on this is actually very good. So I like its look and its style. Some of the sets are really well done. So I'm like, it's great camera work, it's great lighting, it's great set work. but you have actors who are barely moving, just kind of standing there and just being like, I am Turner. I was adopted by my dad. I found out my adopted dad died today. And he's not doing fucking anything. But like everyone's doing that, which tells me that's the directorial choice, and it's trying to be movie-like. But the difference is, like, one of the biggest differences between movie acting and TV acting, and there is a difference, and the lines are blurring more and more nowadays, but it is the fact that you have to restrain yourself a bit more in film acting, because it's like everything is amplified when your head is 60 feet tall on a giant screen. So, you can do more minimal expressions and it sells a lot more on the big screen. Whereas with television, people are watching it in their homes, anywhere from a 13-inch laptop screen to maybe a 50 or 60-inch television. But you can move a bit more, and you need to sell it. It's like, in terms of how big your embodiment needs to be, film is the smallest, TV is medium, theater is the biggest. And this is movie acting, and it's so small and minimal, and that's a direction problem. These kids were told to be like, keep it small, keep your reactions little. We're going for a real cinema vibe. And it just looks shitty and boring when you're on your couch at home.
I think I get what you're saying. I didn't know that, but I absolutely totally agree, because like I think the facial acting that is happening is on level with like Matt Reeves's most recent Batman, which is very small facial acting. Like
thoughtful,
this is a
contemplative.
Noir, that was a noir, just like quiet Batman movie. And this is kind of on par with that. But when you're watching it on this like tiny screen instead of AVX, then you're like, yeah, there's not anything happening. I will say I think episode 2 was a little bit better. I don't know if they were different directors. But episode 2, they actually did kind of have a little bit more chemistry, a little bit more flow, a little bit more ease about them. And everything is so stiff in that first episode.
Yes.
Everything is just like, I don't know. It didn't feel like it was a time rush. It really, I don't know how to describe how episode 1 felt. It just felt like, do it. Be a robot.
It felt like no one noticed. Like no one noticed that it was robotic. Everyone was like, we're going to show up and do the work. Like no one thought about how any of it functioned.
Yeah, they were just like, my character is done. I've said my lines. And no one thought of the whole, maybe?
Yeah.
No one's looking at the whole of the Gotham Knights.
Yeah, I feel like there weren't a lot of like sit down and have a creative conversation about this from the team behind it, just in general. Yeah.
That sounds right.
And I will say every teen in this, just from a purely aesthetic vein level, I hate every teen's haircut in a different way. It's weird that the set design of this show is great. The wardrobe, costumes, hair, and makeup are truly miserable.
There is a lot happening and also maybe not enough. It is a weird mix. Yeah, I'll agree. I think Turner is fine. Harper is like, they keep saying her hair is really blue, and we're like, it's already blue. What are you talking about?
And there's like just 2 clip-in, like My Little Pony child clip-in blue streaks.
They are clearly removable extensions of blue streaks. Yes.
Yeah.
Tyler's got kind of like a Bieber kind of pullover hair, like old school Bieber.
Yeah.
It's very not modern. It's very like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, it's very floppy and just doesn't feel like that person either. Like it just doesn't feel the right fit for the character.
And then Brody's got the weirdest hair. Brody's the guy who looks like animated Bruce Wayne.
Oh, yeah. Brody's hair looks like it's hand-drawn somehow.
It's weird because like I can tell that it's kind of long, but it looks like exactly plastered on his face like a cartoon character, like how a cartoon doesn't look like it has any volume to it. He looks like animated series Bruce Wayne, which is kind of wild.
It is very strange how much this dude looks like Bruce Wayne.
I've never seen a human being who looked like a 2D animation more than this.
Yeah,
hair-wise.
He looks exactly like Batman the animated series Bruce Wayne.
Which makes me upset that he was cast for this character and not for maybe a young Bruce Wayne or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a mess. They all look. And not only do they all, I don't like how they've made all of them look. Robin's costume.
That's what's so weird, because you're like the sets are good, and the everything, like there's some things that are well
done. That clock tower set is like a very well done set. It's a little moody and teen drama, but I think it works for what it is.
They had a full Batcave. The Wayne Manor looks really good, and then I'm like, what is Robin wearing? Batman gave you this ?
Robin is wearing like a torn up paintball top.
And it's her stomach's not out, but like it's just the boob part, and it's like asymmetrical.
Yeah.
And then she's got these weird glowing goggles that look terrible.
Yeah, they look bad.
Awful. But she has official Batman gear. Like she's got bombs and batarangs and stuff.
And the Batman props, like the Bat family
props
look good.
Yeah, they look good. I want to play with them.
And then it turns around and it cuts to Robin, and it's just like a frumpy all black costume with some paintball gear.
Yeah, paintball gear is a perfect. Like, yeah, it feels like that's what she wore if she wasn't working with Batman officially.
Yeah.
Because, like, the original Jason Todd storyline, like, was like he was just kind of like vigilanting a little on his own, and he found some batarangs one time that he uses. And it kind of felt like it should have been that. She's like, oh, I just found some of his gear, and I, like, kind of help him sometimes. But to be like, I have all this gear, I know about his secret room full of journals, I know all his secrets, and I dress like this. Like, Batman wanted you to die. Yeah. Batman did not care about you, Carrie Kelly. He didn't give you armor. He didn't give you a real suit.
You have a tattered tank top.
That's what
that you put over your street clothes. And that is it.
That is it. I mean, it does make it easy to sneak in and out. No one's like, hey, are you a vigilante? And you're like, no, I'm just a regular kid. Look, I'm just wearing regular clothes.
I'm like, oh, you came from a paintball thing.
That's her cover.
The Robin costume straight up reminded me of like the scene from the Christian Bale Batman movies where it's like you want to know the difference between you and me? I'm not wearing hockey pads. But she looks worse than the fake Batman who was wearing hockey pads. Would straight up have been an upgrade.
Hockey pads would be an improvement. They would protect you if you got knocked over or kicked or something. Yeah, I don't know if just the chest piece of a paintball gear outfit is really going to do a whole lot.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, just wretched. And Talon looks pretty good. So it's weird that
Talon looks not bad.
Talon looks not bad. I think the detailing might be too fine. Like, it really does take a close-up to be like, oh, there is cool, like, owl detailing on this outfit. From afar, it is kind of just a brown.
I think it doesn't have any form. I think just, like, the way that the mask kind of furls out into the shoulders, it has no shape, which really kind of makes it unintimidating from a distance and also kind of makes it look like a frumpy mess in fighting. It doesn't showcase the fight choreography. When I can't tell the difference between your shoulders, neck, head, and hips, it doesn't really add to, like, what a cool fight scene. I'm like, it's really just kind of a blanket that's fighting. But there is nice detailing. I agree, there's nice detailing.
Yeah, the detailing is almost too small. To like, but when he is kind of just standing still and he gets a close up while he's like just pulling a sword out really slowly, you're like, oh, you look good. And then he fights and he looks like a blur. But yeah. he looks pretty good, which makes me more upset about Robin.
Yeah.
What is this?
Here's the next level of thing that upset me about the costume and wardrobing as well. So episode 1, people look bad, and it's like, okay, people look bad. All right, it's the pilot episode. A lot of times in television, and we've all seen it, whether you've mentally clocked it or not, there are some big production changes from episode 1 to 2.
Yeah, you do the pilot separately, it gets picked up. It's months later that they do the regular show.
Absolutely, and it's like we figured a few things out, we've made some tweaks, we've redesigned, maybe even like from a writing standpoint, maybe we've retooled some characters, we've changed their roles, and things will change from episode 1 to 2. Episode 2 starts, and the teens they've broken into a department store, and they're redefining themselves as characters. They're like, wow, let's really do it. And I think it's like Cullen turns to Harper and is like, this really suits your new blue hair. And I'm like, the clip-in blue streak is moved just ever so slightly from where its placement was in episode 1. So your new blue hair, and like they're all like, we're on the run, so we need to change our look, is the other thing they say to start this scene. No one changes their look. The clip-in blue piece of hair changes its location slightly. Cullen, who's already wearing a black shirt, holds up 2 black shirts and is like, which one's more me? Which is a funny joke, but then changes into the same thing. Joker's daughter changes into a different leather jacket. What is it? Turner just doesn't change at all because he doesn't like that they're stealing stuff. So we have this whole scene that is, we're on the run and we need to change our look. And they go into a department store, they have a full scene, and then they leave the department store, and they look exactly the fucking same.
They are the exact same as when the end of the pilot at the rest of the show. Yeah, none of them did a makeover. They're all still just 5 teens who wear pure black and leather.
Yeah.
There is no
identical.
change in any no one who's like, my thing is like polka dot shirts. I think Joker's daughter likes dresses a little bit more, but like still it's still very much like
there's
none
no
of
color.
There's no color despite the little pop of blue. there's nothing going on to be like, this is this person's look and this is distinctive and this is what they go for. Like if Stephanie didn't have to wear school uniforms, everyone would just be in black.
Yeah.
Black leather.
Yeah.
And like I know it's Gotham, but you still need like a thing that's yours.
Yeah. Something.
It was hilarious. It was an absolutely hilarious setup of like, oh, we all have different hair now and we'll have different styles. And like nothing.
Nothing at all.
Exact same.
Yeah, really.
What a waste of everyone's time.
What a waste of a setup, too. Just a perfect, like, hey, it's episode 2. We're on the run. We need to change our looks. Awesome. Oh, no?
No.
Huh.
Like,
So we
why
just
doesn't-
wasted this setup and scene.
Why doesn't one of you like tracksuits or something? Like there's so many different kinds of clothing. There's so many different kinds of
Fucking
clothing.
Anything at all. Anything to make any one of you unique would be lovely. But you are all the same lump of black leather. None of you are anything unique at all.
None of you. I will have like 2 quick positives.
Sure.
Let's throw some positives out there. This is such a quick one because it was literally just one line in the pilot. I've got a dead name for you, Bruce Wayne.
Very
It's
funny.
Pretty damn funny.
Very funny.
It
Very
is
good.
really hard to introduce a character being trans right in the pilot.
Yeah.
And this was a great transition to being like, what about dead Bruce Wayne? I was like, that's a fucking great line.
Very good. Great line. And on top of that, too, the only good line of that scene, because as we were discussing of like everyone in those interrogations are like, hello, here is my dating profile. That was also the only time when the interrogators are saying it about a person. So it's the only piece of writing where it's like, we've set up this narrative device where the interrogator is going to tell you about yourself. And it's the only one where they follow through on that. So it's the only good character introduction where someone else says it and it isn't about themselves and it's a joke and it tells you what, like, it's a perfect little moment.
It's a great little moment. Yeah, Harvey saying don't dead name him is the other characters introducing that this character is trans, which is so much better and makes me like kind of highlight the fact that all the rest of the writing is bad, that they were clearly like, we have to take care with the introduction of this character.
And I appreciate that.
Oh, I absolutely
highly
appreciate it.
that.
But it just highlights more that they were like, fuck everyone else. But like, we
Right.
care about this. And I'm like, thank you for caring about this. But like, why wasn't every other character introduced in an interesting way?
Yes. Yeah, it shows that you know the writing lessons.
Yeah.
And you were able to apply them to sensitivity, which again, highly appreciate, beautiful. But it just goes to show that it's like we're introducing Cullen, we are introducing a trans male character, and we need to be careful about that. And to be careful about it, how do we write this scene? And then they did, and they did it well. And they just never did that for the concept of a general character and only for moments we need to be sensitive about. And it's like, just apply it as a whole. Love that you were sensitive and kind, but apply that writing lesson as a whole.
Yeah, take that little bit of care you took and add that to everything else.
Yes.
And maybe you got a show.
Yeah.
Then maybe you got a show. And then episode 2 actually has an incredible moment at the police station with all the heads delivered in the boxes.
That's a funny bit.
That was it was funny and creepy, like very Gotham. Very like, this
Yeah.
is what villains do. They send you a head in a box with a cell phone, and then they send you 5 more.
Yeah.
That was a really great reveal. Like, even just the one head I thought was cool, but then just turning to the mail cart with 5 other heads in it, really cool moment.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I don't know who was in charge of this part, but that was absolutely really neat.
Yeah, I liked that a lot.
Maybe
Yeah.
It gave me like a little bit of like, oh, maybe they got some ideas.
Maybe they got some vibes. Hey, they have blimps in this. I liked the blimp vibe.
multiple blimps. There was one shot that proved there was at least 2 blimps in Gotham.
Multiple blimps. Yeah, there are a few points where I'm like, you've got the vibes of the city kind of right.
Where are the mutants?
They haven't really shown the mutant gang chewing up the world yet.
Where will they be?
So no mutants, but yeah, the head in a box gag worked really well. And I also think Misha Collins is good casting for Harvey Dent as well. I think he's working really well in that role.
Oh, he's doing a great job. I like that you say that because I would have been biased either way. I was like, I loved him as Castiel on Supernatural, so I'm like, he's probably doing great. I don't know. But yeah, he's the only one who feels like he has an established relationship. Like, I do feel like you were friends with Bruce Wayne, even though we haven't met him. More than I feel like Turner had a relationship with Bruce Wayne. Like, I feel like you were friends with him. It's coming across in your performance and in your face and in your gestures. And I feel like you know Turner.
Yeah.
I feel like you're genuinely conflicted about like going after him and sending police to arrest him.
And you're selling that conflict really well. You're clearly written to be Jim Gordon.
Yes. Why is the DA in charge of the DA showing up at murder scenes and doing all of the Commissioner Gordon stuff?
And no court stuff.
No court yet.
No legal stuff in any way.
No, you haven't even. I mean, I guess when they had arrested them, the DA would be in the room for the interrogations. Maybe. I think that happens sometimes, according to Law and Order episodes I've watched.
Sure.
I don't think until charges have been laid.
Yeah.
I think is the thing. But like, yeah, actual hunting them down. I'm like, the DA doesn't. The DA waits till the cops finish this and then is like, I'll put the charges through.
Yeah.
I'll sign the little form.
Yeah. And the whole thing of like, well, Harvey, we know you're trying to run for mayor soon. And it really feels like it was Detective Jim Gordon in the original script. And it was run for commissioner. And they find all, replace commissioner with mayor, find all, replace Jim Gordon with Harvey Dent. Done. And then send that script out. That's done. Yeah, so he's doing straight up detective stuff, but he works, he sells the conflict, he sells the relationship. He's just kind of a seasoned TV pro whose presence really helps being there. Yeah.
Should we talk about I actually feel like this should have came up sooner, but also the whole idea of this show being so similar to that game. What a weird thing to do.
The Gotham Knights video game, which at least had like the legal rights to a bunch of the characters.
To characters you've heard of. 3 Robins and a Batgirl. I'll take it.
Yeah, but to be like, for the gall of this show to be like, we're also going to be called Gotham Knights and we're also doing Court of Owls. Get out of here.
And
we're
going to
out of
be
here.
Completely pushed back. And like Googling one or the other, you would always get the wrong result. Whenever I was trying to Google something for the show, I would get game stuff. And whenever I would try to Google game stuff, I would get show stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how that continuously kept happening. Because the release years would be the same because this was supposed to come out last year.
Yeah. Straight up disrespectful to one another. Yeah. And for a show that is largely tap dancing over legal copyright stuff, the fact that happened is insane to me. And also just kind of goes to show like the disrespect that the video game industry gets a lot of the times in terms of like, well, you know, like a lot of different ways, but in the way of like, yeah, let's just trample over their thing. We're TV.
Yeah, they've been working on the game for years before this show came out. Games take forever.
Of course.
To write.
Yeah. So like, yeah, the game was worked on long before. It's weird.
It's weird. DC is always so fractured, though. It's a real, like, Ezra Miller announced as The Flash the day the Flash TV show premieres. It's like, they don't care about the movies versus the TV. They don't care about the TV versus the video games. There's just no cohesive nature in DC ever.
Ever. Yeah. Ever. But normally they at least know to, like, give different titles so that it's Googleable.
There's other stuff you can call one of these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotham Kids.
Gotham Kids, and especially when, like, this has so little to do with the Gotham Knights comic books as well. No,
not at all. I mean, there's a Gotham Academy comic book. Call it that. They're all teens.
Yeah, they're all teens. It's largely based at the school.
Gotham Academy.
Actually, their hideout is at the school.
Yeah, they're not knights.
They're not
None
knights.
of these kids are knights.
No, one of them is
Robin?
Maybe. Carrie Kelly is kind of a Gotham Knight.
Is a certified knight, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I would give Carrie Kelly. This show is a Gotham Knight.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah, not non-pluralized.
Just one.
Just
Gotham Knight.
A singular
Gotham Knight and friends.
Gotham Knight and friends. And the Gotham Academy.
Gotham Academy would have been a way better
Gotham Academy would have been a way better title. Well, I'm feeling pretty good on Gotham Knights. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like we don't have to watch anymore, so that's fun.
Yeah, we're tapping out on this one.
I'll miss you, Misha. I'm sorry.
Misha, you deserved better.
Maybe you could do a different show that I can watch, Misha?
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe they'll just become the Harvey Dent show and I'll turn it on.
Become the Harvey, but yeah, they still don't have enough legal rights to do any of the things they need to take place in this universe whatsoever.
No, it's going to be a tap dance of an entire year. I can't imagine it'll get renewed, but I don't know how many episodes this season is either.
Yeah.
But it's interesting in a way to be like, what's she gonna do next to get around the things you don't own?
Yeah.
I'll watch a tap dance.
Yeah, who does the Court of Owls influence?
Who runs it?
Yeah.
Who are they fighting?
That's like, you can't do anything from the Batman movies. You can't do Batman. You can't do other Bat Family, other superheroes. You
What
can't do
other-
Titans, Alfred. The Penguin has his own HBO spinoff show that has all the legal rights to the Iceberg Lounge and Penguin stuff.
Yeah, like what villains could even be on this show other than Court of Owls?
I don't know.
They definitely don't own the rights to anyone except maybe if they make Harvey Two-Face, I guess.
Yeah. And I feel like
That would be
that's
years down the road.
That's
a
the
thing
only,
you save.
That's the only move that they have. Yeah.
It's like when like Lex on Smallville doesn't go evil till like season 7 or something.
Yeah.
Or like he slowly goes evil, but you know.
Yeah, that's the whole through line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change. So now that we've discussed everything we discussed, what would you change about this? If you could change anything. Before we do ask that final question, we want to remind you, as we do every week, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, wherever you're listening to this right now. It helps us move up the charts. It helps us find new listeners, and it warms our hearts.
It warms our hearts. It's helped us so much. We read the reviews and we're like, yay, people like us. Other people read the reviews and they're like, hey, people like them. It is good for the goose. It's good for the gander. It's good for every podcast you listen to. Leave a couple 5 stars and reviews for everyone you like. Us first, please.
Us first, please.
We would like to be the first ones,
Yes, please. And as well, if you want to support the podcast monetarily and get bonus episodes for doing it, you are going to want to check out our Patreon. If you head over to patreon.com/fromsuperheroes, you can see all of our Patreon levels. You can kick in whatever is in your budget. Literally a buck a month. Those add up. They make a huge difference.
Love a buck a month.
Love a buck a month. They're how we take care of the web domain, how we buy all of the equipment, how we also just keep ourselves fed, clothed, and alive is
Love
an important thing as well. That's a very important thing. So $1 a month if you just want to be a cool supporter, and then you get our webcomic a day early as well. But if you do want to do $10 a month, you can get a bonus episode of this podcast every single month. This month, for our Patreon exclusive, we did Plain.
Just Plain.
Just
That's
Plain.
what it was called. That's the name of the movie.
Soaring High with Plain.
And then Pretty Low.
And then Pretty Low, because things got tough for that plane. So
Spoilers for Plain.
Spoilers for Plane. It's a rough go for that plane. So you're going to want to check out our Plane episode. And also, when you sign up at the $10 level, you get immediate access to the back catalog. So you have so many previous episodes that you gain immediate access to. So check it out. Check out the different levels. Check out the options and consider your budget. Head over to patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That is patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And now let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
Am I allowed to say just don't make this show? There's no point.
That's a fair option.
That's a fair option. I mean, if I'm gonna like have smaller changes that actually like if you have to make this show, introduce the characters more slowly. 3 per episode max. You're gonna assume you're gonna get picked up. You don't have to be all in the pilot. Introduce the characters more slowly, get to know them. I wouldn't have killed Bruce until the end of the pilot. I think you really have to establish a status quo of what the life is like in Gotham before everything changes.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
I would have liked to have seen like Turner's relationship with Bruce. Like, I think you can have Bruce without Batman, and then legally maybe you're fine because like Bruce is clearly here. You've hired a man to have his face. So yeah, I would establish like, and Harvey can meet Bruce, and Turner meets Bruce, and like we get to know everyone's lives before they get 180'd by being framed for Bruce Wayne's murder. Because as it is, we only know these people on the run for Bruce Wayne's murder. We don't know what their lives were like before. So I'm introducing characters more slowly. I think Carrie and Stephanie probably, because you kind of need the ones framed for the murder together. And then, so Bruce doesn't die till the end of episode 1, and then everyone gets framed in episode 2. It's going to be my biggest change. And we're going to actually establish some relationships so we can be like, I'm sad Bruce is dead. Because I'm not sad Bruce is dead. And I'd like to be. I like Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He's a pal to me. He's had some good times with that guy.
But they legally aren't allowed to cast him. So he
Legally
is just
not a Batman.
So he's just a body on the ground.
Just a body on the
But I agree it is better to see emotional attachment and then understand why. Yeah, that's a great one.
Thank you. Andrew, what would you change?
A lot of it.
Yeah, fair. I mean, yeah.
A lot of it, a big one. Just a big old all of it. I really love your change. I think what I would do with something like this is have fun with it, make it stylized, make it different. I think that good creativity can come out of constraints sometimes. And even though this is tap dancing over a lot of legality and who we have access to and who we don't, have fun with that. Because the other thing it's trying to do as well is to dance around all of these contractual obligations while also staying true enough to the general understanding of the DC world that it doesn't rattle any cages or be too weird for anyone. Like, it wants all of the appeal of all of the cool stuff you already know, but can't do any of the cool stuff you already know. So just do a one-off. Do an Elseworld. Like, make it different. Make it not the Gotham we all know from every interpretation of Gotham. You make it inspired by that. But one thing we were talking about during the show is like, make it a series where Harvey Dent becomes Batman. And it can still be about these kids, but to be like, what happens in a world where Batman dies and these kids need to pick up the mantle? But you also need a mentor. You also need even just like a veteran actor to be the anchor of the show. And what if it was Two-Face who never got scarred, but a man who like has that ability of a dual life within him, and a man who inherently wants to make this city better, but is very conflicted by it, finding out that Bruce was Batman, and at the same time finding out that Carrie was Robin, and then Turner finds the Batcave, and then Stephanie is there helping Turner hack things, and it's like, and now you've got Harvey and these kids in a Batcave starting a new Bat family inspired by Bruce. I think the Kids on the Run thing doesn't work. I think that like a lot of the versions of this world, make it different. Make it not the Gotham that we all know if you can't do the Gotham that we all know. So I think that would be, and then just make it wild. Like, we have these Gotham news updates where it's people delivering exposition, and Gotham frankly seems boring.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it needs Batman.
Other than the fact that the mutant gang exists, which they don't really do anything with, it feels boring. Make it the news reports from RoboCop. Like, make it just to be like, and in other news, the mutant gang broke into a film studio and murdered everyone today. Wow. Anyway, like, make it crazy on the news.
Especially with Batman dead.
Yes.
Like, Gotham was barely holding on when Batman's alive. The second Batman dies, the city should erupt.
I'm 100% with you on that. So I don't know. These are some wild changes that I would make to be like, own it. Own the fact that this is an Elseworld, that you can't do any of the things, and just get wet and wild with it.
I love that. It's fun. Yeah. Make it different so it'll at least try something. At least try something.
Try something.
Love that.
Yeah. Harvey Dent and the Bat Family, I think, is just a great idea.
And I also agree that, like, these kids need a mentor, because none of them are old enough for me to be like, you can defeat adults all the time.
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be an adult, like, helping them.
And even Batman has an adult helping him. Even Batman has a Jim Gordon, who Harvey is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But if it's these like 5 kids in the Batcave, kind of on the run, figuring things out, and then they're like, and Harvey is the inside lawman, is what Jim used to be to Batman. That is the Batman format. That works. That is exactly the Bat Family thing. There's opportunity here.
There's stuff that could have worked.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's going to be it for our episode on Gotham Knights. Thank you very much for listening and dealing with us dunking on a thing.
We dunked on it quite a bit, but I don't think anyone was shocked. I don't think anyone's out there like, no, it was so great.
Yeah.
Maybe the Misha Collin fans, which I am a part of. We love that guy.
Hey, we never dunked on him, though. Not once in this episode did we dunk on him.
He is great.
If anything, we wanted more him.
More Misha.
Well, that's going to be it for this week. Next week on the podcast, we are going to be back, and we're going to be talking about the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Woohoo! Chris Pine!
Chris Pine.
He's back, baby.
He's a treat. So we'll be talking about Chris Pine and the Dungeons and Dragons movie next week. In the meantime, if you haven't already, please listen to my stand-up album that I have available right now. It's my second stand-up comedy album. It is called Murder Bird. It is available wherever you buy or stream your music. So chances are, wherever you're listening to this podcast right now, if you just search for my name or if you search for Murder Bird, you will find the album. It is my second stand-up comedy album. It was recorded live in Toronto at Comedy Bar. I'm very proud of it. The reviews have been very kind. All of you listeners have been very kind. It's been wonderful to see. It's making all of you laugh, and I love that. That's the intention of a comedy album.
Purposeful laughter.
Very purposeful laughter. So please go check. If you listen to this podcast, I don't know why you wouldn't check it out. At least give it a try.
Give it a try. It's
Give
more,
it a try.
It's more Andrew.
Open your heart.
It's a more polished, fun Andrew.
It is.
Prepared those
with
jokes.
Prepared things. So search for Murder Bird wherever you get your podcasts, or you can go to murderbird.andrewivimey.com to find it. And as well, you can also find the links on my social media. You can find me pretty much everywhere at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can find me on Twitter at Words of Diana.
And you can reach both of us most places at From Superheroes, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.